But it's so funny because every time I meet comedians in real life, like outside of the comedian setting, it's always a little. What's up, guys? Welcome to MopedJet. Why is it called MopedJet? Because I want a moped and I want a jet, and that's it, dude. And I'm gonna keep doing this until I get it. On today's episode, we're gonna do how we always do and talk about what I want to talk about. Check me out. First, before we get started, let's do the promotional stuff, get that out of the way. Check out the hoodie. This is available on the merch store, linktree dot also well not dot what am I doing linktree slash ohsojosh. You could also just type it in and look it up, bonfire.com/store/emporium. Now we got that out of the way. Get some emporium. What are we really talking about today? Oh, okay, so I got a show tonight. I got a show this Friday, which is today. It's going to be my first comedy show where I'm featured this year because I took a long break this year. I think I explained that last episode. Don't need to get into it this episode. If you missed it, not a real fan. You're not a real fan. But yeah, I'm out here. I'm moving and I'm working. Hopefully I can make people laugh tonight. I'm a little nervous since I've only done 3 or 4 open mics all year. Definitely not back to back. And the last open mic was, it's alright. You know, it didn't really bring the house down. So hopefully with this act, I can bring the house down, like I want to do when I do anything. I want to bring the house down. I hope this podcast is breaking down the foundations of your home as we speak. If you're at work or in your car, I hope you have a pleasant surprise when you get home. But this is what I want to do, man. I want to knock down doors, because why are you going to do it if you ain't going to put your all into it? So it's early in the morning. I woke up. I got my breakfast, which is just a big fat vape rip, and I was gonna go to the gym, uh, but I decided I'll get this out of the way before I go to the gym, because sometimes the gym makes you super tired. Sometimes because the gym is literally torture. Like, why is working out really low key just torture, right? You're just forcing yourself to stress your body out, obviously for the gains, and it's healthy for you. But if it's healthy for you, why does it not feel healthy for you? Why does it feel like I'm being abused when I'm done? Yeah, of course, you get the worker's high, you get the workout high afterwards, where you feel like you could run through a building. But that's hours after torture, way after torture. I don't understand. Like, I get, like, things are healthy to do, like, hiking and standing on your head. But why doesn't it feel good if it's healthy then? Like, why is our body not attuned for that? I feel like that would be peak evolution, God. You know? Why does lifting weights not feel like I'm busting? Is all I'm asking. Why does it not feel like I'm getting massaged at least? Why does it feel so strenuous? I shouldn't be going, ugh. I should be going, ugh. And vegetables should taste like candy. We should be passing out beets for Halloween. Speaking of Halloween, I was Hollow Knight for Halloween because Hollow Knight recently took over my life and a lot of people's life. I played Silk Song, super duper difficult. I beat it all, but I had to instantly run Hollow Knight back just to make sure, like, was I just cracked out, or was this game significantly harder? And it is. Like, Hollow Knight, I beat all of it. I got all 112%. Uh it took me a minute, but that is optional stuff. Like, you don't have to do that to beat the game. Beating the game is way easier than that. And it didn't really feel difficult until the very end, doing the optional boss rush stuff, which should feel difficult and be a thing for people who want to challenge themselves. I just want to get the percentage because I love Hollow Knight, and I'm taking a break now, but I do plan to replay Silk Song and get 100% in that. Probably when the first DLC rolls out, that'll make me want to go check out that, so I'll do it then. I also, I'm gonna It's funny because that game frustrates me, but I'm definitely going to buy it again because I just because this is a first world problem. When the game came out, it was such a huge game on release that I couldn't download it on Steam. So I was looking for ways to get through it because there's like an error. It was happening to everybody. But then I realized, oh wait, there's other places to buy video games in the digital world. So I went to Microsoft.com. Well, not that Microsoft Plays. Like I have a Windows PC, so I went on the Windows Marketplace, and sure enough, Hollow Knight Silk Song was available. He's ready to download. No clutter because no one uses it there. But the thing is, I played the game kind of like, and I beat it on my Xbox, my old Xbox account that I apparently saved from my Xbox 360 days, which is kind of cool to see. But yeah, I want to do it on Steam though because I want the Steam achievements. I want the Steam cred, which is so bougie. I'm kind of waiting though. Hopefully, probably not anytime soon because it's a hit. But I'm kind of waiting for like a sale because Steam is pretty good at dropping random sales on games, and that's when I was gonna look to rebuy it because $20 it's not that much, but I was hoping since I'd be buying it again since I technically already own the game, uh, you know, oop, sorry, hit the mic hard there. Uh, oh, talking about Steam, I saw that Steam is dropping a new console. They're stepping into the console world with the Steam machine. I mean, that's cool if you care about consoles. I'm glad I made my PC. Even though the Steam machine is supposed to pretty much be like a console PC thing, like it could do everything that a desktop can do. It's kind of like what's it called? It reminds me of those Google pads or whatever, those Chromebooks, that's what they're called, Chromebooks, where like they did basic functions of a computer, but not all of the functions. So it's probably something around that. But I'm just like, don't buy it. Just don't, because they say it's going to be 4 times powerful than the Steam Deck, and the Steam Deck's already too much money. How much is the Steam Deck actually? Let's see, Steam Deck. Come on. All right. Thank you. Internet just that's not a Steam Deck. It gave me a whole bunch of machines like sound machines. Yeah, the Steam Deck is $800. Okay, that's for the 1 terabyte version. For the 256 gigabyte version, which is the size and capacity of my cell phone, it's $438. So still almost $500. And obviously, at least you have the luxury of just connecting it to your PC and then you have all your PC games. But that means if it's 4 times more powerful than the Steam Deck, it's probably going to be upwards 900 to $1,000. Maybe, I don't know, but maybe they're going to take a price cut on that to enter you know, the console market. But how much is a PS5? PS5 is 449. Some are 600 if you want like a special edition. So yeah, if they can somehow meet that price point, I could see them it being effective because I just don't see why it's being made. It seems to be just a weird half step. It seems like it's trying to pull console players slowly but surely off of consoles and onto PCs by like trying to show them like, hey, see this little Steam machine? It's kind of like a console, but it has PC functionalities. If you like what you're seeing and doing here, maybe you could get the full thing. Maybe it'll be powerful enough. I don't know. I'm a nerd just sitting here talking about video games. I kind of wanted to pull back because the last 2 episodes, they're very opinionated, and that's fine. But the opinions are kind of heavy, so I wanted to kind of make this one, give you guys a little break. I didn't want to blow your minds too fast, too much. So I just wanted to take this one and just be chill, be silly chill with it. Speaking of silly chill, I did comedy at my last mic, and there was some person that they do comedy, and I actually see them around my office, and I was like, oh, that guy does comedy. He must have just recently started, but it's so funny because every time I meet comedians in real life, like outside of the comedian setting, it's always a little weird for some reason. And you would think us being comedians and entertainers, and if we would be, have a more impressive conversation, but it doesn't always seem to work out that way. And with this guy, I don't know. I'm not gonna say his name, and I'm not making fun of him or anything. I'm not saying anything bad about him, but he had a great stand-up set. Um, and so I told him that when I saw him, I said, "Hey man, great set on Thursday." And I was getting lunch, so I had my lunch in my hand, and I was putting it in the microwave. And he goes, "Oh, thanks." And then he kind of just stares at me. I'm just like, "Okay, don't say it back." Great. So I really did bomb him. I plus bomb on Thursday. Don't say it back. He just kind of stared at me, and he was like, "Is there a potluck?" And I was like, "Uh, uh, not that I know of. I don't know if there's a potluck." And he said, "Oh, I saw your plate, and I just thought that meant there was a potluck." And I'm like, "Nope, I'm just my sandwich, just my sandwich for lunch." And he goes, "Oh," and he just stares at me. I'm like, "All right, well, have a good one. Guess this is over." And then he says, "Yeah, have a good one." Still didn't say I had a good set. Whatever. And that's not the first time. I met another comedian, but this one was a little better out in public. A few times actually. And he's very talented. I think he's one of the funniest comedians in my city. Uh, and he was kind of awkward, but his comedy brand is kind of awkward, so it worked out. Like I kind of expected him to be awkward because you could tell it's more him. But that guy, uh, I guess his I honestly could tell from his set it was a little scripted. Like I could tell he had beats he was setting up. And I mean everything is scripted in comedy. I write my sets. I just kind of don't have certain beats. I have a framework, and then this is what's funny about it type of thing. So I can deliver it any which way as long as I get to the punchline at the end. So that also gives me some flexibility on how I want to deliver it. So if I forget something, I could just make something up. It's not that big of a deal. But yeah, but comedians, they're great. They're great in the green room setting, in the comedian setting, but sometimes out in public. But that just shows the show. It's funny because like every time people find out I do comedy, they always act like I do brain surgery. They're always like, "Oh wow, that's so brave. I could never do that." I'm like, "Really? You couldn't get up there and talk uh like an asshole, really?" Who just really just honestly, if we broke down what comedians are saying and put it in a regular setting, all of us are just jabbermouths saying the like all of our intrusive thoughts and all of our opinions and hoping that you laugh at it. Some of us clearly don't care if you laugh at it. Not so like I think we all been there. But yeah, what else I want to talk about? I guess I could talk about. I guess I could give you guys a story. Um, when I was in college, there was this lab partner I had, and he was Asian. But hold on, wasn't an advantage. He unfortunately, I mean, like I don't know, he would probably call it handy capable, but this man was handicapped. Like he had he had one of those. I don't know what you call it. I don't know if it's offensive to call it a stub, but he just had like like sometimes you have a grown arm like this, and sometimes you have people with two of them, like me. But like him, he had just one. And his other arm, it was like his arm was trying to be an arm and then stopped like right here and just was like, all right. Didn't look like it was an accident. It looked like he was born with it. You know what I'm saying? And that's not the first time I've seen that. Um, but yeah, he didn't let it stop him. and his name was Josh, ironically enough. So but there's way too many Joshes. That was actually one of my first jokes. There's way too many Joshuas in the world. I don't know what is going on, but we need to chill. We need to retire Joshua. But his name was Josh. And he was funny because for me, I was going back to college. I think I was like 20 or 22 at this point. So I was going back because I left college because music was starting to, well, not because music was starting to take off, but I really wanted to see what would happen if I dedicated all of my time to working and creating, and I had like a YouTube channel, and it was going decent, but it was probably the saddest I was, so that's why I went back to school, because like all I was doing was playing video. I was serving, delivering pizzas, playing video games, staying up editing YouTube Let's Play videos, and I didn't even know about streaming. Honestly, if I knew about streaming, that probably would have been the better route, but I was trying to do the Let's Play route the whole time. I found out about streaming because of the pandemic. But yeah, I was so depressed, so I went back to school to because I was like, let me go get that biochem degree I was gonna get, but it's biochemistry. I forgot a lot of the stuff. So let me go take some refresher courses for the first year I go back, and then pick up where I left off. So I was in chemistry 1 just to like remind myself how to do chemistry 1. And then now I think about it, I think I took chemistry 1 like as a subject because I took honors chemistry. That kind of felt like college chemistry 1. Then I was at IMSA, which kind of was there too. Yeah, I think I took that class maybe 5 times in my life. If really, like chemistry 101. Still don't understand it. And I knew the things that we were doing, but my lab partner, the handy capable Josh, he would always be like, like he would say that. He would just do that noise every time I would be like, this is what we have to do in the lab report. He'd be like, I don't think that's right. Mind you, he would say that while other students in the class would come up to me like I was the TA, and they would be like, hey, is this how we're supposed to do it? And I'd be like, yep. Hey, what'd you get on this? And I'm like, I got this. He's like, all right, awesome, me too. So I got a reputation. I remember there was one kid that I was in the like lecture part of the class. I didn't have him as a lab partner, but I was chilling, talking to people, and then I let him know like, yo, I'm just taking refresher courses. I'm trying to be a biochem major, blah blah blah. What I just told you. And then he was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna sit next to you then. And he just made it straight obvious. Like he just straight up said, I'm gonna sit next to you and get all the answers from you then. And I thought he was just joking at first. But then the next day he sat next to me and said, hey bro, I didn't do the homework. Can I see your homework? And I just looked at him and I sat in the front. And I was mad because I liked where I was sitting and he made me move. But I'm like, bro, I'm not here to make you pass. Also, this is college. Also, I'm older. What the hell? You're not gonna ride. What do you think I am? But anyway, back to this Josh kid. He would always do that while I was always right and waste our time. And he would always want to do like the wet work, like the stirring and the mixing of strong acids and strong bases, which can burn your skin. And he would take the flask. He would obviously mix them on the table, but I mean, like put the chemicals together in the beaker on the table. But then he would pick up the beaker and cradle it. He would use his stub arm to hold, to kind of cradle the beaker, and then he'd take his good arm like this. And if you can't see, it looks like I'm fighting an invisible ghost. I'm giving a ghost a noogie and punching him in the face. But that's what he is doing. And the whole time, me, in the lab, were holding their breath. We'd all just look like, Like it was like one of those acts in the circus. Like, oh shit, is he gonna flip? He's gonna do a quadruple somersault and land in that tiny bucket, or is this the day he breaks his fucking neck? Because, bro, let me tell you, man, there was a couple of times that little like this is not good enough to hold a glass that's rotating. It just isn't. And I would offer, bro. I would say, hey, man, I can stir, aka I got both of these. You got one. And he was just like, no, I got it. Also, because this is why I say I know he was handy capable, because I remember um, we were getting hot dogs. Well, I wasn't. We weren't getting hot dogs. There was a hot dog thing. They were passing out hot dogs to the broke college students. So they gave us free hot dogs and chips one day, and it was just right after our class. And we were talking kind of, after our class, and I thought I lost them. I thought we parted our ways. I get my hot dog, I get my chips, I sit down. 2 seconds later, he sits down across from me, and he just continues talking where we left off. I'm like, oh, okay, so this is what we're doing, which is cool. I just thought that he left. So we're talking and we're getting to know each other. And he asked me what I do for work. I told him I'm a server. He's like, oh, I'm in the restaurant industry too. I was like, oh, what do you do? And he said, I'm a dishwasher. The hardest job to do with one hand, I think. I know they have that machine now where you just put it in the machine, but you still have to scrub the grime off. So, bro, what? Like, you couldn't be a door hand? You couldn't be, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you couldn't be the guy that opens up the door at a fancy hotel. Um, you couldn't, you couldn't have been like a caddy. That only needs one hand. You could even be a burger flipper, bro. A lot easier than being the dishwasher. So this guy is handy capable. He definitely is like, I'm not gonna let this thing stop me or define me. I am Josh. So he's probably the better Josh in terms of power ranking between Joshes. I don't know though. But speaking of power rankings, for my honeymoon, I went to the islands. We are in St. Thomas. Which, hey, if you ever have the privilege and the money to take yourself to one of those islands, go there. For real. Because they live in a time warp. I don't know what's happening, but time moves so slow on the island, it must be studied. Because, bro, like me and my wife, we'd hit the beach, get drunk, do sightseeing. And we're early birds, so yeah, we got up at like 6. But fully awake, like fully energized. Got up at 6, hit the beach at like 7. I get day drunk at like 9, 10. Uh, then we go sightsee. We do our sightseeing. I'm thinking, man, it has to be like 6 or 7. Late night, early afternoon type time. No, we get back from our sightseeing that we left to do at 12 at like 3, and we saw a lot, and we waited on a lot of taxis. Like it felt like 5-6 hours had passed. Even the morning before it hit 12, I got day drunk. Every day I felt like there was like a whole day to spend in the first half of the day, and the second half was, it's a time warp. I'm telling you, if you've never been, I don't know if it's all islands or all like equator type locations, but I think since that is the equator, it must be the most outer part of the rotation. Time must, I don't know what it is. I'm not even gonna act like that I know what I'm talking about. But time moves slow. Just know that. So if you want, so the Fountain of Youth is probably somewhere in that vicinity for sure. And the people, man, this is why I really brought it up, because, like I said, the power rankings of Josh's, this is the power rankings of black people. I used to think that African Americans like myself were the top tier because we make we pretty much tell the world what's cool, and the world usually follows. But I gotta edit the rankings. Okay, so it goes. Sorry to say this, but it goes British Africans at the bottom because y'all all sound funny. I'm sorry. You guys don't sound cool at all. There's then it goes Africans because you sold us out, and then it goes African Americans. Then it goes Island Africans and Caribbean Africans. They are the best. They are the coolest. They're the most chill. Um, they have this. They have a different type of ambition. Where I'll say like African Americans, we're very boastful, and sometimes we don't even do a lot, but we boast about it. But they like every person I talked about, they're like, yeah, man, I built my house, and then I built my mother's house, and now I'm taking care of my mother because she's sick, and yeah, I'm working on with my wife. We're working on a nonprofit, and I do this taxi. And I was like, Jesus, jeez, and it's so the one thing that they will kind of boast about, which I thought was funny. I sound like such a tourist because I kept saying, "Wow, this place is beautiful. This island is beautiful," and they kept saying, "Thank you," like they made it, or like they bought it, or they, like they cultivated. You know what I'm saying? Like the island was here way before humans were. Calm down. This area was always beautiful as long as the Earth was consistent, a consistent place. But I just thought that was funny. They're like, "Thank you, thank you." I remember one taught me, well, reminded me to be chivalrous. Uh, well, I mean, like, I'm chivalrous as hell. I'm like probably the most chivalrous dude in my generation. I'm still very old school, holding the doors, holding the car doors open. Um, I think I even one time did the jacket over the pedal thing. No bullshit. I think I did that once. Uh, so I'm really dope with the chivalry. But on our vacation, we were sitting beachside, Koki Beach type shit, and we were getting something to eat. And the food hut is literally 4 steps away from us. I get my food, I'm eating. Her food comes a little later, and her food comes up, and she goes up to go get her food, and she goes, no, and the guy behind the counter goes, pulls her food away and goes, no, 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 honey, no. You sit down. You always sit down. You are the wife. Get your husband. Tell him to get everything. He is the husband. So she comes back and she said, he told me, he told me to tell you to get my food. So I go up there and he said, why did you let your woman come up here, man? Why did you even think that was ever okay? I'm terrible at accents, so. But he was just like, that is your treasure. That is your beauty. That is your love. That is your heart. She will bear your children. She will make your family. You understand? She should not have to want for anything. You get her the food. She gives you love, does she not? And I was like, yes. She cooks for you, does she not? She doesn't, but at the time I wanted him to say we could. Yeah, she does. Well, you could get the food for her. I'm like, bitch, I paid for the plane ticket and the gosh dang hotel. That wasn't good enough. No, I didn't pay for the hotel. She paid for the hotel. Let me not even cap. We are a 50-50 household, the Pierce family. But I think that's enough for this podcast. I try to keep it under 30 minutes or right about 30 minutes. We have 29, coming up on 29, so I think that's good enough. If you like what you heard, prove it with the like button. If you want more of me, make sure you check out my links. They're in the description. Check out all the other stuff I do, my other platforms. I do music. I got an album coming up that I'm very proud of. I'm already working on new music already, working on a couple of singles that I'm proud of. A lot of music coming your way, so make sure you check me out on my music platforms, on Spotify, on SoundCloud, anywhere there's music, I'm everywhere. And I also stream. I also try to stream everywhere. So make sure you look up ohsojosh on anywhere that provides streaming, and you'll probably find me in some way, shape, or capacity. Follow anyone of your preference, and we'll hang out there. Yeah, I might stream today, actually. I think I might try to do some IRL streaming. But yeah, this is MopedJet. If you liked it, prove it with the like button. If you hated it, Say it in the comments and eat your vegetables.